Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Yes, what about the story of the party who went beyond 20 years? The party was founded sometimes in 2001. Immediately when we got introduced new democratic dispensation in 1999, then you know Chief Ganifa Wemi of blessed memory went to court that the court should impress it on INEC to register more political parties, because the constitution of Nigeria is very clear that Nigeria is a multi-party state. But immediately after the 1999 elections, it's like the INEC shut the door against new political parties. So Chief Gani went to court, and the court said no, INEC had no right to stop any political party from being registered once the party has met all the conditions spelled out in the Constitution. So along that line, we also applied, and the party was registered in 2001. It's not been very easy since then, because before we came on board, there was a provision for party funding in the Constitution. But along the line, between 1999 and 2003, those who find their ways into government then believed there was a need for them to remove the ladder with which they climbed to the top. So they stopped funding for political parties. Then it means that funding parties will be very, very difficult, because they were already in government. They had access to limited funds, that's government money. So that means if you want to form another party that is not in government, you must use your private funds to keep the party running. So it's not been easy, but we thank God for where we are today, because at a point, Nigeria had about 90-something political parties. It became unwieldy, and the INEC had to prune it down by deregistering about 78 political parties. But we thank God our party was able to survive that hammer, and since then we have been running like a political party.
Now, what factors would you adduce as being responsible for the sudden emergence of the NPP? Especially in Kano State, where suddenly it has become the success story overnight.
Yes. Sometimes in 2002, some individuals approached us that there is this big Nigerian politician who wanted to join us. They were like the foot soldiers. Then the discussion started sometimes on February 21st, 2002. But because there was the need for us to meet the INEC deadline.
2002?
No, 2022, sorry. We needed to beat the INEC deadline because the race for 2023 was already on. And so by the end of February, we were able to consummate a relationship between what the person we later got to know that is Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, and then the old NNPP, so to speak. And then by March 1st, 2022, a new NNPP was born. And since then, it has been a success story. Because don't forget, Senator Kwankwaso has a movement that is spread all over the country. He calls it Kwankwasia movement. Their trademark is that red cap. Anywhere you get to in any part of Nigeria, even that small boy pushing a cart, that small boy doing what we call subata, you will see him adorning that cap. So that Kwankwasia movement spread all over the country. So when they came in and they merged with us, by March 1st, 2022, a new NMVP was born, like I say. So we were able to use the spread of that Kwankwasia group to ensure that we were, so to speak, all over the country. We went into 2023 election with high hopes, thinking of latching onto that is spread. But unfortunately, politics is not 2 + 2, it's going to give you 4. You have your high expectations, but along the line, it's only what materializes or what manifests at the end of the day that really matters. We thank God for where we are today because, like I told you before, that 2022, the best we could boast of was a member of House of Assembly in Bauchi State. But now, today, we have a governor, we have a deputy governor, we have a speaker of the House of Assembly, we have 2 senators, almost 20 House of Reps, and over 30 House of Assembly spread all over the country. So I think the coming of Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso is actually a blessing, serious blessing. And again, you know, when God is on your side, what you think will be like a problem, would like to really be your stepping stone to your greatness. And that's exactly what we experienced in the past 3 months or 4 months, to be specific, maybe from September, when after winning the election convincingly, you know, politicians being what they are.
The governorship election?
Yeah, the governorship election, so to speak, yes. But, you know, politicians being what they are, and it's a new method in Nigerian politics that became, it has been there, but it became more pronounced in the last election. What some politicians could not get through the ballot paper or through the ballot box, they tried to get through the courts. And that was why a lot of Nigerians were worried. Because had it been they succeeded finally, it would have killed democracy in Nigeria. Because democracy is not just we have a government. The beauty of democracy is a candidate under a platform of a political party going out to canvass for votes, the people buying into your project, they vote for you. The beauty of announcing the winner of the election, you go home and you start doing your work. But when some people who are unpopular decide to use the courts to get what they could not get through the ballot box, it will have spelled a lot of, I don't want to be an apostle of doom for democracy in Nigeria.
I'm glad you've gone the way of Kanu, because of course we are going to get there inevitably. Some would say that in spite of the merit of Governor Abba Yusuf's case, the Court of Appeal still found a way to rule and say that in the election, they gave the election in court to Nasir Gawuna.
Yes.
One wonders if it was all just about the courts and the judiciary alone that it took to overturn the judgment of the lower court, because the Supreme Court indeed returned the mandate to Mr. Governor.
Yes.
But some have said, look, if it was just for the legal fireworks alone, the tribunal and appeal court should have done the job, but they didn't do. So could you take us into the 3 cases? What better argument was made at the Supreme Court? I mean, if it was even outside of the courts, what some say more than just courts went into that matter. Would you like to?
Yeah. What we know is we know law. We don't know about the other things that went into play. But the point is, I think the thing is best captured by after the appeal court ruling, and then the embarrassment to the country. The embarrassment in the sense that the appeal court gave their ruling on a Friday. And naturally, we said we're going to appeal. And then under the justice system in Nigeria, you have only 14 days within which to take your case to the next court. Anything after 14 days, you have lost your right to appeal. So when they gave their ruling, we applied for the CTC, which is the certified true copy. That is for the basic document you need to approach the higher court. We waited for 5 days because we expected that, because don't forget the tribunal, the petitions that has to do with elections, they have a special language. Those guys didn't have weekend, no public holiday. So we expected even by Sunday latest we should have the CTC. But by Monday the CTC was nowhere available. We went into the public and then we started making noise. So by Tuesday it's like, let me use the word as advisedly, they were stampeded into giving us the CTC. And that was where the embarrassment became pronounced. In the court on Friday, they said we lost, and they gave it to APC. But our charging, when we laid our hands on the CTC actually gave victory to us. As a matter of fact, they even awarded a cost of 1 million against APC.
Why was that the case?
Well, there were a lot of insinuations, but at least the closest to it that we could say is that in that judgment there were two judgments. Original judgment written by the justices, and probably another one brought to them.
By?
We don't know. It is just an insinuation.
It was in your favor?
No, the one that's why people are saying, in every judgment, apart from the preambles that the justices laid, the real judgment is on the last page. Mm-hmm. That is where you have the finding. Yeah. And the last page opened by saying all the issues are resolved in favor of the appellant. The appellant in that matter was our governorship candidate. They didn't stop at that. They said the judgment of September 20 of the tribunal, they even quoted the petition, the number, is hereby set aside. That means the judgment that annulled our victory, giving it to Gawuna, was set aside. And that a cost of 1 million naira is awarded against APC to the appellant. That was what the CTC said. Immediately after that, the signature of the head of the judiciary, the three-man panel, and then the stamp of the registrar. But it became an embarrassment. Though they said it was a mistake, a clerical error, a one-page clerical error, some wonders happen in Nigeria. Clerical error can only be one word. Assuming you want to write wife.
As National Party Secretary who believes in the cause of the party, what can you really say went wrong?
Well, we were not in the minds of the justices. They wrote the judgment.
Both judgments?
They wrote the judgment. In the preamble, they laid the preamble castigating our governorship candidate. He is not a member of the party. But where they got to the conclusion was the issue. We don't want to go into insinuations now but at least it is believed, a lot of people have started saying it, that the NJC should investigate what really happened. But to understand what really happened, the justice of the Supreme Court, that the leader of the team, Justice Eyan Gokoro, who read the lead judgment and every other person concurred, was very livid and with anger. That how could a court of appeal make that blunder, because they call it a mistake. He said they needed to be meticulous in the discharge of their responsibility. Now let us go into the matter of the issue, the real issue at stake. APC went to court on two major flanks. The first one was that our governorship candidate was not a member of our party as at the time he registered. And that two, that they went through the ballot papers and discovered that about 165,000 were neither stamped nor signed by INEC. That's why Justice Okoro said APC had no reason to go to a court in the first instance. How do I mean? In the case of the membership, either at the Court of Appeal level, at the Supreme Court level, it has been the judgment that no outsider in this sense means somebody who is not a member of the party, can question the eligibility of a candidate, except you're a member of that party. In this wise, APC is the one now going to court to say Abba is not a member of our party. Interestingly, they themselves are beneficiary of this justice system. When somebody took the very vice president, Kashim, to court, that he was not eligible to contest, the Supreme Court said, no, it is not your duty. It's only a member of that party. And not even that, a member of the party that has taken part in the primary. So if APC is not a member of our party, they couldn't have taken part in our primary. So that one is one, that they had no right, they had no business going to court in the first instance. Now the second one is the issue of 165,000 ballot papers that were not stamped. Section 63, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act is very clear, because they know that there could be what they call human error. So they emphasize that some people will make mistakes. That's why Section 63, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act says that if the presiding officer is convinced that that ballot paper that has not been signed or that has not been stamped is part of the booklet that he is working with, that he shall count and record. Interestingly, INEC came to court and said these ballot papers belong to us. So the question, that's why Justice Okoro was very angry, that why did APC go to court? But you know, this is Nigerian politics. Nigerian politicians always find a way of getting into government. And come to think of it, in the last election, there were 5 elections in 2023 in Kano State, just as in about 28 other states. We have the presidential system, presidential election, senatorial election, and the House of Representatives election on the 25th of February. These 3 elections, NNPP roundly defeated APC. Our president candidate, that's Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, defeated the current president by close to 200,000 votes. On the same day, there were House of senatorial election. Out of 3 senatorial seats, NNPP has 2. APC managed to get 1. The one they got was through violence. In the House of Representatives, there are 24 seats in Kano. NNPP has 18. They have 6. Now fast forward to March 18, governorship election. On March 18, we had governorship election and the House of Assembly election. In the governorship election, we defeated them by close to 200. Even that one was war. It was serious war. Then House of Assembly, out of 40, we have 26. How then did they want to get Kano at all costs? We know what they wanted to do because they were already preparing for 2027. But you see, when you are unpopular, you are unpopular. There's nothing you can do. In all the 5 elections, we defeated them. So this issue of it's not a member of NNPP, what concerns them? Have they managed their own APC to now know who is a member of our party? The governor of Kano today registered with our party. As National Secretary, I keep the records. He registered with our party on the 27th of March 2022. And all the processes that led to his emergence were forwarded to INEC, and INEC followed it. That was why INEC came to court and said, no, we know this guy is a member of NNPP. They even presented a membership register, stamped, they call it CTC, given to us by INEC. Still, APC said it's not a member of our party. When did it become their business to know who's a member of NNPP?
I'm glad you have already gone ahead of me to talk about 2027. Because, and let's go there really, because in truth, some have now said that if the tribunal had given this judgment and the court of appeal had upheld, had said that, look, indeed, Abba Yusuf was the loser, all right? If the Supreme Court had said he was again the loser, I mean, we would have been here still having this discussion, and nothing really would have changed. We wouldn't have been able to change that outcome. But given the way we've seen governors whose cases were adjudicated by the Supreme Court come to thank Mr. President, say, Mr. President, thank you. We don't know why. They come to thank Mr. President, thank you so much for. What on the street is that, and I'm glad you're here, what on the street is that there's a deal between Mr. Kwankwaso and his old friend, our dear president. And that explains why Ganduje, who is the APC national, is now calling on Mr. Abba Yusuf to join the APC. Of course, we won't be surprised if that happened, except that for now, all that we've had, the spokesman of the governor says that Mr. Ganduje isn't following the right channels to invite Mr. Yusuf to join the APC. Meaning that if you follow the right channels, maybe they'll consider it. But if not said, we won't join your party, go with your party, your enemy. It appears there is already some sort of mutual detente between the APC and the NNPP. Can you fill us in on that?
There's nothing like that. As a matter of fact, about 2 weeks ago, I think today is Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting. We call it the small group meeting. That's the caucus meeting of Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, where this matter came up. I was the one who asked him that question. That what's on the street is that there's a deal between him and that probably he's on his way back to APC. And he stated it categorically that there's nothing like that. But you see, what at least I know him very well. I know him very well.
Things will change,
but for now, we know politics, you can never say never in politics. Because you're like, I think it was this reggae man who said your worst enemy could become your best of friends, Mr. Mali. You see, the invitation by Ganduje to Abba has come to validate our stand that APC wanted Kano at all costs. They needed it. Not because of anything, but because of 2027. And it is very, very unfortunate that APC got into power and we started behaving as if we have an election ahead of us in 3 months' time. And that is why Nigeria is where we are today, because APC is not doing any governance. They are preparing for 2027, unless we want to deceive ourselves. Everything APC is doing today is about 2027. They are not doing any governance or government. So but that invitation, having failed to get the governorship through the court, it has now become very open that they wanted governorship of Kano at all costs. Because if you subjected an individual to that trauma, you needed to see our governor during this time this case was on in court. You know, it got to a stage one day, he said, when you see everything on ground, on the table, and somebody just placed a call, and the thing turned. You see, Cyril, there are certain things we cannot say on air, especially what transpired in the Court of Appeal. We have our own sort of information, but we can't say some of these things here. That judgment, I dare say, was not the judgment written by the Court of Appeal justices, but we won't go further. So when that one became open, very clearly, because if you took a matter to a court on 2 flanks, and these are the flanks that have been decided by the Supreme Court before today, why then did you go to court? The question NNPP is asking, and we want people to ask NJC, the judges at the tribunal, they got to Kano on Thursday to read their judgment. Who took them back to Abuja to go and read their judgment through Zoom? Where did they sit down to read the judgment? We want to know. Because you know, when there is a paucity of information, rumors fly around. There are insinuations that that judgment was written in the office of a APC chieftain. Let them come out and dispel it. Some of the things that happened during that trial in the, especially Kano, we don't want people to switch under the carpet. Why did we have 2 judgments in the judgment? If you have said in the preamble that the APC seemed to be ahead, NNPP did not prove their case, and you went to the real judgment, and you said NNPP has been awarded 1 million naira in favor of them against APC. What happened? And you said the judgment of the court of the tribunal is hereby set aside. They didn't just, they even quoted the petition number, and they did the real judgment. And somebody is coming out to say it's a clerical error, and Nigerians will accept that. And this same person at the Court of Appeal, who led the 3-man panel, has been elevated to the Supreme Court to do what? After that mess we saw with the Court of Appeal judgment, and that is why Justice Iyan Gokoro was very angry that they should be more meticulous. So I remember that it became very glaring that we shouldn't restrict ourselves to legalists, because these people were hell-bent on getting Kano. We went out. We told the international community, we know the consequences of toying with Kano. After the judgment, the national chairman of APC and some people, big wigs in Kano, they went to see Mr. President. Initially, they were angry with him. We have it on tape where they're sending video abusing the president, that why did he withdraw his support for them. Probably they wanted demand-to-man pressure on the Supreme Court. And that one takes me to the next issue. Any governor that got his judgment in Supreme Court will say, I thank Mr. President for not interfering. That presupposes that there were interferences at some level. That is the implication. If somebody says, I thank Mr. President for not interfering, that means there were interferences in some states. So those are the things that we are looking at. And that is why our democracy might not get to the level we want. We need to strengthen the institutions of democracy, especially the judiciary, especially the INEC. Let me even shock you. Do you know that after the tribunal judgment, APC joined INEC So naturally, INEC must appeal, just like NNPP. INEC at the headquarters appealed. But a legal officer in Kano State wrote a press release that INEC had withdrawn the appeal. Everybody became aghast. Outrage everywhere that, why should INEC withdraw? Only for INEC at the headquarters to say, we never withdrew our appeal. That man is still sitting on that seat. Nothing has happened to him. Somebody that has embarrassed INEC to that level. A legal officer in Kano saying that INEC at National had withdrawn appeal. And the man will still be in office. So it's one of the reasons why Nigeria is where we are today. There is no consequences for bad behavior. People just do things and get away with it. Life continues. As I speak with you, that man is still occupying that position as legal officer of INEC in, in Kano. Just like our friend in Adamawa just woke up from his slumber, brought out a paper and declared the governor as he was having one election, when he had no right to do it. Where is the man today? They are just a wrist, a slap on the wrist. So there are certain things we cannot say on air, but I think we need to strengthen our institutions. Because if governor will come out and say, I thank Mr. President for not interfering, what does that mean? It's like there were interferences at some level.
The NNPP in any way grateful to Mr. President over the outcome of Kano?
Why? Because it was war. And I was telling you, it was war. Whether we like it or not, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso is the governor's leader. Had it been you, if you really want them to come to APC, it's not the governor you talk to. You talk to Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. Because after the Supreme Court ruling, the national chairman of APC took some shiftings of the party in Kano to go and, according to him, thank the president. This one is not a secret anymore, because after his opening speech, the president did not even allow any of them to talk again. I said, no, I've listened to you. We don't want problem in Kano. Go back and reconcile with your boss. He didn't mince words. It's even in the public domain. And then the following Sunday, the president invited Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. And the senator went with the governor to say, thank you, Mr. President. He said, no problem. What I want is I want peace in Kano. Whatever move your boy is making, please accept it. It's going to be almost impossible. But in politics, everything is happening. It's possible. It's almost impossible for Senator Kwankwaso and Ganduje to work together again. Because there's an Hausa program where he featured, where he said, even if you are inviting Kwankwaso and he's a governor, and he said that even if Kwankwaso comes down, you are going to be his leader. They said they did that one in Hausa language, which means shutting the door for Kwankwaso to come in. Because, immediately after the judgment was read on Friday. The governor was in Abuja. He was in court on that day. Saturday, he went to Kaduna for what some people have termed the triumphant entry back to Kano. In Kano, on that day or Sunday, which the president made reference to it when he had a meeting with Ganduje people, the governor left Kaduna around 9 o'clock in the morning. Kaduna, no matter how very slow you are as a driver, 3 hours you are in Kano. But when you're talking of a convoy of a governor, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, you'll be in Kano. But on that Sunday, it took the governor of Kano 13 hours to enter Kano on that day. The crowd was too much. So people were saying, we thank God that the judgment went that way. But perhaps you can imagine this crowd being unleashed on Kano, because nobody knew what could have happened. And that was why we were shouting, begging them, please don't toy with the peace in Kano. These people gave their mandate to the governor. Nobody can guarantee anything. So the president now was telling them that you can see, that means you guys are not on ground. So the issue of, I remember that the last meeting we held, we took the senator on and he laughed. said to go to APC to do what for now? In spite of what they did to us, those guys almost got Kano. Almost. They wanted it at all costs. So that when that one failed, that's why Ganduje is now calling on the governor. The governor you made to pass through trauma for a mandate the people of Kano gave to him freely. Now calling on him to come and join you. But in politics, because it's like wanting to reap where they didn't sow. You know that in the 5 elections we held in 2023, they lost the 5 elections. So where do you start from? Even if you get the governor. So there's no any big deal. There's no any deal that warranted that judgment at the Supreme Court, because you need to listen to the Supreme Court justice. He was very, very clear on law, on the 2 issues. They are legal matters. There's no shortcut to it. You can't beat around the bush and arrive at that thing. What those guys at the tribunal and the Court of Appeal did was to stand logic on his head. And then Supreme Court has corrected it, and everybody is happy. What it does means is that politicians should learn to curry people's favor. When you are in government, do what is right for the people. If not, you will lose election, and then you want to go to court to get it through the back door. Politics is going to be killed, and democracy is going to be killed that way.
As we begin to take this home, let me bring in this question. How would you describe, are you in the know as to how Kwankwaso and Ganduje relate at present? No.
They are not relating at all. They are not relating at all. Because it's one of the things that he told the president, and he doesn't, Kwankwaso doesn't hide it. But apart from Ganduje's parents, in fact, he's going to be the next most benefactor to Kwankwaso, to Ganduje. How do I mean? Because he said apart from what he has been doing for when they got into politics, he made him deputy governor in 1999. When they lost the election in 2003, and he was made minister for defense, he made Ganduje his special advisor. When Rabiu elevated him and made him removed him as the chairman after Obasanjo's tenure, Rabiu gave him membership of NDDC. And Kwankwaso told her that he told Rabiu that this office you give me, there can't be office for my boy. Please give him another office. And he was put in, I think, Chad River Basin somewhere on the recommendation of Kwankwaso. After 8 years of Shekarau, and Kwankwaso went back to Kano for his second tenure, he still made this man his deputy. And when he was leaving office after 8 years in 2015 to go to Senate, he single-handedly made him the governor of Kano State. Within 3 months, he turned against the president, against his boss, to the extent that Kwankwaso told us one day that for 3 years, he couldn't go to Kano. So that's why anytime you are talking to him, we tell you I'm partly Kano, I'm partly Kaduna, because for those 3 years, apart from Abuja, he was living in Kaduna, not because of anything. He said because he knows that anytime he goes to Kano, crowd will call and receive him. So if Ganduje sent his boy to attack him, that those boys with him will not fold their arms, and then there will be bloodshed. They will say Kwankwaso has come to Kano to create problems. So he said for 3 years, he stayed out of Kano. For somebody you made your deputy, somebody you installed as a governor, and anywhere Ganduje talks, he lambasts Kwankwaso, he disparages him, to the extent that even after President Tinubu got into office, and he invited Kwankwaso to Ayaso Villa, Kwankwaso went there. I think he got there before Ganduje. Only for Ganduje to get there and say if he has seen Kwankwaso, he would have slapped him at that level. A man of above 70, talking that way, national chairman of a political party. So I don't think there's any connection between them now. Though they are in Kano, but I don't think they even come across, they even meet. Though the governor said he's going to set up an elder consultative forum, he has made all the former chair governors members. Maybe when they meet at that forum, maybe that's when we'll know what is going to happen.
So we will come back to Kwankwaso and 2027. But before, perhaps we should even go there. Kwankwaso has been there, done that. He's been minister, he's been senator, he's been governor. Is he looking to vie for the presidency in 2027? Do you have any information on that? Or is your party looking to work with the president, perhaps, as it is said, deliver Kanu from Mr. President in 2027, and then in 2031, Kwankwaso then sets his eyes on the big ball?
No. NNPP is distinct from APC.
Okay.
And that was why immediately after the election, he was invited by the president-elect then. Because NNPP, out of principle, said we were not going to the tribunal. We had every good reason to go to the tribunal because of what INEC did to us. The way INEC represented our logo in ballot box, ballot paper was not our logo. But we didn't go to court because the tension in the country then was too much. So the president-elect invited him and wanted him to join his government. He said, yes, no problem, but I will not leave my party. So that was where the disagreement came. They wanted him in his cabinet, but the man said, I'm going to remain in my party. So the same thing, the last time they met, he still reiterated that he wants to remain in his party and build it for 2027. So I don't see any Kwankwaso working for President Tinubu. And I wish President Tinubu wants to contest in 2027. So there's no any deal as to 2027. Because I think Kwankwaso himself has his eye on the ball for 2027.
Okay. Let's come to what happened before last year's general election. There were rumors that the Labour Party was going to form an alliance with the NNPP. We didn't see that come to pass.
Yes, as a political party, we were taken aback when we started reading the pages of newspapers, of social media, and stuff like that. Yes, there was a contact from the Labour Party, but it didn't involve the two political parties. I think, let me say, from the Obi camp. Some people from his camp, like Chief Victor Ume, is now a senator, like Dr. Donyo Kupe, met with some members of our party, but not at the party level. Uba Galadima was there, Barrister Ladipo Johnson. And the very first meeting they had, what the Obi people put on the table is that they have already taken the president and they wanted Kwankwaso to be the VP. That was what affected the discussion. After that, there wasn't any meeting again. Because we felt that you guys are coming, were coming for a dialogue. You don't come with a mindset that this is what is going to happen. In the course of discussion, you could bring that one in. But the moment they brought it in, that, oh, Obi president, Kwankwaso vice president, we thought it was premature then, as at that time. And after then, and again, the discussion started after the two political parties have submitted the names of their presidential candidate and the VP, have submitted the names of their governors, sharp candidates, House of Reps. So we were looking at how it's going to happen. Is Kwankwaso going to leave our party and join your party? Because INEC could not allow a combination of two political parties to feature or to field one ticket of so that was what happened. So when we were reading the pages of that NNPP and Labour Party were talking, and we said no, there wasn't anything like that. It wasn't at the level of the party itself. It was like individual, because those guys represented Kwankwaso, and I want it to be on record that Kwankwaso and Obi never sat down together to discuss anything for the last election. It was just those two people that I said, 3 from them, 3 from us. The first meeting they had had to do, we are going to produce the president, you produce the vice president, and that was the end of the negotiation.
Would Kwankwaso have accepted the vice president?
As at that time, yes. It would have been difficult. It would have been difficult if we were frustrating where he's coming from. You just said it, a former senator, a former governor of 8 years, a former minister, a former ambassador to the Darfur, a former senator, and a member of NDDC. In the history of Nigeria, the first person to resign as a member of NDDC when he said the place is a cesspit of corruption. And what happened later seemed to vindicate him. He resigned that he couldn't find himself continuing with this kind of situation. So if you look at somebody with that kind of intimidating credential, You don't come to him immediately and say, come and be the VP. Maybe in the course of discussion, but as at that time, it would have been almost impossible for a Kwankwaso to be a deputy or vice president to Mr. Peter Obi.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.